For those tuning into recording this session, I welcome you warmly as well. Today we have Andrea Jensen from Ace Training. She'll be taking us through a how-to session on how to use Microsoft OneDrive for business. So yeah, this is a super cool tool that I'm sure we'll learn all about. You can use the Q&A in the Zoom or the chat function or the comment section if you're watching on Facebook or LinkedIn to answer any questions. And it's a really good chance to get your questions answered by the expert in front of us here this morning. So yeah, I'll just leave it to you, Andrea. We'll do questions at the end and I'll see you in a second.
Sounds great. Hey, it's great to welcome you all here today. I'm just going to share my screen with my little PowerPoint to start with. Just give me a second to do that. Now, hopefully you can see. Tip, you just give me the heads up if everything's looking okay.
Yep, everything's perfect.
Great. Wonderful. I'm just going to move some little toolbar icons around. Right, my name is Andrea. It's my absolute pleasure to have you here. We're here with you today. Those of you that are joining from Auckland, I hope you are actually sitting there with a cup of coffee and your feet up, just enjoying this presentation while you take the day off. And the rest of us who, apart from Nelson and Marlborough, you have your days off as well. But the rest of us here, like Tip said, sit back and relax. We're going to have a nice informal chat about OneDrive for business. So I work for Ace Training. We're a training organisation based in New Zealand, and we have centres all up and down the country, and we present training and provide solutions for people in the Microsoft realm. And one of these things that we do is a lot in using SharePoint and Teams and OneDrive and those sorts of things. So this is a little snapshot into using OneDrive for business. Now, so this is what we're about today. So I'm going to give you a little bit of background knowledge, but also a lot of hands-on. So I have a little helper at my side here on my laptop. I'm going to be using a sample account today. I'm going to be Andrea in this account, and my friend here is going to be Tinkerbell. So every so often you'll see me pop across to my laptop where I can do a little presentation from Tinkerbell's perspective and then the presentation from my perspective, because OneDrive is all about collaboration. So the best way to show it is to show that we're collaborating together. All right, so I might just take myself off camera, I'm just wondering, so you don't have to see me as well. I'll minimize that. Over here. Okay, right. So what we have here, OneDrive for business. So I'm just going to just say, what is OneDrive? So we're going to talk today about what OneDrive is. What's so great about OneDrive? I can tell you all the coolest things that I know about OneDrive and what I love. We're going to watch OneDrive in action. And then we're going to talk about OneDrive with Teams and SharePoint, because I know a lot of people say there's all these terms when it comes to this Microsoft environment, and I don't know which one's which and where to use which. So we're going to concentrate on the OneDrive part, but I'm also going to give you a little bit of insight into where it all fits together like a bit of a jigsaw. Okay, so let's talk first about what's OneDrive. So OneDrive is your space. This is your personal space. It's your personal file storage. Actually, I'm going to take myself off video here. It's your personal file storage within Microsoft 365 that is yours and yours alone. Okay, you can share it if you choose, but you don't have to. You can do whatever you like in there. Nobody can see what's in there. And this is a little bit of an interesting point too. Your admins, while they manage your whole SharePoint environment, I guess, or your whole team's SharePoint 365 environment, even they can't see the contents of your OneDrive, even though they would manage the repository of all that. So it's a very, very safe and secure space. Now, a lot of people assimilate OneDrive with H drive. So we've all had an H drive or something similar in our lifetime, and it's our home drive, or where we get a portion of a drive space to store everything that we are working on. Now, in our OneDrive, for example, we might want to store things that are personal to us. We might want to store things that are ready to be deployed eventually, but at the moment they're in draft phase. And we may want to store things that are generally of no use to anybody else but us. And we can choose to share them to individuals at our own pace, at our own control, really. So this is about you in the business, working in your space that's private, but still related to business. Okay, all right, so and the other thing is that what makes it so great. So OneDrive is fantastic. OneDrive is a cloud-based product. It means that Microsoft is taking care of your files in the cloud, so you don't have to worry about awkward, lengthy, painful backups. All right, that was the biggest bonus to me as an individual when I learned about OneDrive, because OneDrive is backed up for you by Microsoft because it lives in the cloud. Now, let's have a little bit of a talk about what the cloud is. The cloud is a set of servers, computers all around the world, whatever you want to call them, all around the world that are not visible to us. Days have gone where we would have a computer sitting in a room or several computers sitting in a room that was a server room, and there'd be somebody in and out there doing things in it. Yep, there's a place still for that. But from this perspective, with what we do in OneDrive, that no longer exists. So we don't have to worry about equipment, because all we need is a device, and we need an internet access, and we need to log into the Microsoft 365 environment, and we have access and opportunity to access this thing we call OneDrive. So it's absolutely wonderful for us. Okay, so the other thing about it, and you see in my little statement here, it stores your files in the cloud, yes, with the option to sync to any device at any time. Now, when we talk about synchronization, I always think about the Olympics, and we think about synchronized swimming, where everything is the same. It's consistent and it's the same. And that's exactly what we get when we synchronize, or sync, as the common phrase is, to our devices. So it means that while, like I say, you're connected to the internet and your clouds are saved by Microsoft into the big wild universe out there of the cloud world, but at any time you can bring it down to a device. And when I say a device, it could be a desktop computer, it could be a laptop, and it could even be a cell phone or a tablet of any kind. So we can do lots and lots of things no matter where we are. So it's your stuff and your space, your place, and your time, anything you want to do. So OneDrive has got all those facilities and features, just like a lot of the other cloud-based applications do. All right, so there are our features, but how does it actually work? Okay, so we start off with, you've got your OneDrive account. I'm going to show you what that might look like if you don't already have one, but you've got your OneDrive account and you can store your files. Now, this is not a lot different to what you would have done with your H drive. So you pop into Microsoft Word and you busily make your document that you want to make, and then you go to File and you save it into your drive. Now, traditionally, that would be File Explorer. You'd look for your H drive, you'd look for your personal folder or something like that, and then you would store your files. Same with OneDrive, except we use the OneDrive link. Then you can update any documents that are in there, just like you would normally do at any time with any other documents, and you can also share them from there. And I know sharing's not new. We've had sharing in File Explorer forever, where we could share a file with people that we choose. Well, the same thing goes with OneDrive, and it's extremely simple. The cool thing about that too is that you control the access. You control who can, who can't, how much they can, when they can, and when you want to relinquish that access, you've got full control over that as well. So you get the control in OneDrive. And of course, the final point that makes it amazing, of course, is the fact that you then can use these files anytime, anywhere, provided you have a device. If you have an internet connection and a login or an access point to Microsoft 365, or, like we've already said, you have synchronized down to a local machine, in which case you don't need any internet access for that one. Okay? But essentially, OneDrive is all about you, the one and only you. Okay, so when should you use OneDrive? All right, so you use it for any personal files. So this is a workspace for you to use for personal files. Perhaps you're keeping your personal employment agreement there. Perhaps you're keeping your expenses claims there until such time we need to work with them. Perhaps you're just got some private training records, materials that you're working on for your role in the business. Or secondly, perhaps you're working on some drafts, perhaps you're a blogger, perhaps you're the person responsible for doing the comms in your organisation, and you want to work on perhaps what you're going to put out there before you're ready for anybody else to collaborate with you or have a look at it. So you can put your drafts in there before you're ready to post them. And when we talk about posting, I'm talking about things like not just posting to blogs, like maybe to your LinkedIn or to your Facebooks or to any other website, but I'm talking about drafts that you might want to share with the wider team. So for example, perhaps you're a person who builds policies or builds procedures. You might use your OneDrive to create those procedures in the first instance before they're ready to be posted as a final product, maybe into SharePoint or Teams. But the great thing is that when we're working on drafts and you're not yet ready to share them with the wider team, you can also still collaborate with your colleagues. So even though it's still in draft mode and it is in your OneDrive, you could choose, I could choose to ask Tinkerbell to collaborate with me and say, hey, Tinker, do you want to have a look at this draft before I post it to live? And that all happens in your OneDrive through the sharing mechanism. So it's very, very versatile. And again, if you want to share files with others that maybe are the final file, rather than posting to a specific business channel, because maybe it is just a file between a couple of people. Perhaps you're planning on running an event together. Perhaps you're planning on doing the Secret Santa list. I don't know, you know your things, but it's just an opportunity again. If it doesn't really involve the business 100% and it's not really a formal document, then OneDrive is a great place for it to live. Okay, all righty, let me just check what I've got next for you. All right, so OneDrive, I hope you're getting the idea that OneDrive is going to be amazing for you. So I'm hoping you're thinking, yes, I should be using this. All right, so when is OneDrive used by default? Now, OneDrive is obviously a Microsoft product. It's designed by Microsoft. Microsoft like it, and so Microsoft are going to want to use it on your behalf. So OneDrive is used when anything personal is undertaken. Now, when I say personal, I mean not in Teams. Now, those of you that aren't familiar with Teams yet, hopefully you'll come to one of my other sessions I might have down the track on Teams, or if you're interested in finding out about Teams, then yep, just give Ace a call. But Teams is the collaboration space and the collaboration tool that Microsoft use so that the company and the organization can be together, I guess, do all sorts of things together. But sometimes you want to just meet with a select few, not a formal team of people. So OneDrive is used whenever you make a meeting that you're deciding on who should be involved. So it's your normal Outlook meetings, and it could be outsiders, could be insiders, could be anyone you choose, but that's not involving a Teams meeting. Those of you that know Teams will know what I mean. So a standard meeting that you make and you record, then OneDrive will then hold the recording of that meeting as the permanent record. Over and above that, another feature that happens here is that within the Outlook meeting, the Teams recording is still available, but the master recording resides in your OneDrive as the creator of the meeting. Same thing goes if you do a Meet Now in chat or via your calendar. So when you're using chat and you do a Meet Now and say, oh, I just want to get hold of Tinkerbell, it's not a formal meeting, but it's something we still want to work on. If it's recorded, then that will also be appear in OneDrive, as will any documents that you share in that chat. Now, that's really important. I'm going to talk about that when we do a bit more work on chat. But chat, again, is equally as private as OneDrive, but it's private to the individuals that are involved in the chat. Okay, again, those of you that know about Teams know that if you belong to a team, nobody gets left out, everyone belongs. But in a chat, you have your select few that you're inviting to a conversation and maybe a meeting. And in that case, those people are the only ones who have access to the files that you provide during that chat, but they do reside in your chat, your OneDrive environment. Okay, but they will be privy to that as a shared recipient, I guess. The other thing is too that when you do anything like Microsoft Word or Excel and you're in the browser view, by default, you will save, or offer you to save to your OneDrive, because that considers it to be your home space. So that's the first one it's going to offer you. So that's what Microsoft is generally set up to do. And like I said already, just like the meetings and chat, it's also any files created with the chat will also be stored there in a private place for you to control who gets to see. All right. Okay, all right, going to do one more little slide here and talk about syncing. Now, syncing is, like I said before, it's where you take what's in the cloud and you bring it down to your local machine. Now, that might be because maybe you're traveling. Not we're doing a lot of that these days, but Air New Zealand still does not provide wireless on their domestic flights. So therefore, if you want to work on something while you're traveling, you could synchronize it down to your device, work on it, and the moment you get back into range of a data source, whether it's your Wi-Fi or your data on your device or your data on your phone, then it will naturally reconnect on your behalf, which is pretty cool. The other thing that will happen is that you'll need to set up your syncing. Okay, so you do need to set it up. If you haven't already got it, you do need to set it up, but it's absolutely easy. And whether you're syncing to a personal computer, a tablet, or a phone even, the syncing is really seamless. Microsoft have made it so easy. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to pop out of this presentation here now, and just bear with me a minute while I go to my other drive here, and I'm going to pop up my display for OneDrive. So Tip, can you just tell me that you can see this okay?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Excellent. So you should be seeing my OneDrive. Now, this is a sample environment. I'm just going to zoom up a wee bit if I can. Here we go, just to give you a bit of a better view. So this is my OneDrive in Office 365. This is my sample account. Like I said, nothing you're going to see here today is of anything that's confidential. But you can clearly see that what I have here is just a set of folders. And I have some lovely looking documents that I uploaded this morning. Now, I guess you're wondering, what do the little starbursts mean? They mean that they are very recent. So I only recently uploaded these documents. So the little star will stay there for probably the day, I imagine. And then tomorrow you'll see them without the stars beside. So what can we do inside of OneDrive? Well, first things first, we need to know what it looks like from the inside out and how we get there. So I'm going to pop us back to our Microsoft Office home. I've got these already open so we can pop there quickly. And I get to OneDrive from my 365 main landing page here. There's my OneDrive, the little blue cloud. I can also get to it from my Teams environment. I'm just going to pop into Teams. If I can find my Teams really quickly, and I can pop into my OneDrive from my Teams environment under my Files area. So for those of you that aren't using Teams yet, then this might be a little foreign to you, but those of you that are using Teams, you can be using the Files option and seeing OneDrive from here. And if I click on this one, there you can see the very same folders that you saw when I opened my OneDrive here. The other thing that you can see, where you can see OneDrive, is down here now I'm pointing to my File Explorer, my little yellow folder that lives at the bottom of the taskbar here. And when I click on this, pop that up, and you'll see, and I've got it quite small here, so I do apologise, but I did want to show you them side by side. I'm just going to widen this a wee bit. Setting my display. And over here we've got our OneDrive. I've got the documents folder, the recordings folder, a little test folder, and about half a dozen documents. And you'll see exactly the same here. I've got my documents, my recordings, my test folder, and half a dozen ordinary Word and Excel documents. Now this is my view on my laptop or my desktop as I am today. And this is the view from my 365 cloud. And I'm working from Chrome. So I've logged into Microsoft 365 in the cloud and gone to my OneDrive in one of those methods. This is absolutely wonderful. So what can we see while we're in here? Now, while we've got the two screens here, I just want to show you something. These items here are synchronized. Okay, they're synchronized, and they're synchronized down to my local desktop. When you have a look at the picture I brought up for my local desktop, I don't know if you can see this very well. Unfortunately, I can't zoom it up too well because of the way that the display is, and I don't want to mess with my controls just at the moment. But if you take my word for it, you'll see little blue clouds, a tick, and some more little blue clouds, okay? Now, these represent my sync status, my synchronization status. The little blue clouds mean that these documents have been synchronized from my OneDrive in the cloud. Blue means, yes, Andrea, we know about your documents in the cloud. But one of them called About Video, and this one happens to be this one here, that is also showing up here, has got a green tick. Okay, has a green tick. Now, if I can quickly pop back to my PowerPoint, I'm going to quickly show you an example here of what this might look like. This is probably a wee bit blurry for you, I think. Sorry about that. But this is what those little markers mean. So this little blue marker here, the little cloud, says that the file is known to my device, but it resides only in the cloud. A tick with a blank white behind means that the file resides in the cloud, like the blue above, and is temporarily available on the PC or the laptop or the whatever. A green tick with a full color behind it, it means the file resides in the cloud and permanently on the PC. Now, this is the one that I would like to use. This is the way I would use it if I wanted to synchronize when I knew I was being offline, because I want to make sure that if I get no internet, I can still work on my document. And the next one you can see, which you don't get to see very often because it happens pretty fast, and that shows you that the file is currently syncing, and it happens so quickly that you probably wouldn't notice. And the fifth one, and if you ever get that one, it's a whoops. And the chances are that something either has been moved or deleted and you can't see it anymore. Okay, so that usually means something's gone or broken. So we don't want to see those. And if they do, you'll be needing to find out what the story is. And hopefully you've still got a copy in one place or the other, and it will be absolutely fine. But the top four are the ones that we will mostly see. Okay, they're the ones that we're going to see the most. And again, so I show you here, I've got 3 clouds, one little tick with a white background, which means it has been known by the PC because I've looked inside it, but I haven't permanently asked it to reside on my PC. So let me do that for you. I'm going to just maximize this to make it a little easier for you. And this one here, so I'm going to my About video here, and I'm going to come across here. I'm going to right click on this option. Now, the options that I'm going to get to make sure I can use this offline, and don't worry, I'm not going to go offline to show you that this actually works, otherwise I'll lose my connection with you today, and that would never be good. But if you had a look down to the settings, so I just went to right click, and I followed down these extra items here on my drop down menu, and it says always keep on this device. Now, if I tick this, that green will change to a dark green. There we go. And I happen to have had others there as well. But my About video has now become a dark green tick, as with all the others. So I've asked this to permanently be on my device. Now, if I didn't want these to be on my device permanently because I wanted to free up space, and this is a really good conversation for us to have. One of the reasons we want to use the cloud is because we've gone are the days when we have large amounts of storage available to us. No longer do we have hard disks that we want to be able to take masses and masses of content. And so therefore we tend to want to use the cloud a bit more cleverly. Now, if I wanted to take these and remove them and say, actually, I don't want these available all the time, I would again right click and I'd say free up space. And here's my free up space option right here. So if I free up space and then it takes them away, you see the synchronization option, and it's synchronizing all my files again to turn them back into cloud only. So it's a great little opportunity for us to use this. Now, I've obviously got my very own one folder, so everything's happening in that one folder. I don't have multiple levels. So what you're seeing here is really managing my whole only folder. If you had different folders, you'd be able to manage your synchronizing or not synchronizing in that case. So why would we want to not store these on our laptops and free up the space? Again, it's because storage is very, very expensive for us. And also, as we're starting to work a little bit more cleverly and do a lot more, what can I say, intricate types of work, you'll find that some of your files are going to get rather large. So we have very fancy images these days. I mean, our cell phones can take incredible images that only cameras years ago could do that. We're storing things. Our expectation that our documents will be very, very high quality with lots of graphics and formatting means a lot of our documents are going to be quite large. So you don't always want to be storing them and clogging up your system. And the other thing is too that you don't want to be constantly having your system wanting to synchronize, so it's buzzing the whole time, because that takes valuable energy, power away from your working device. So you do that regularly, do the clean up regularly, but bring down when you need to. Okay, so bring down when you need to is the key here. All right, okay, so there you can see that one's synchronizing, it's still having a big think. The little marker is going round and round and round, but it will happily sync. Now, down the bottom right corner of my screen, and if you've got a screen in front of you as well where you're watching this on, you may have one of these as well. There's a little blue cloud, and the blue cloud has the symbol that shows synchronization at the moment. I'm going to pop that up. Tip, can you tell me that you can actually see this dialog box?
Yeah.
Thank you. So you can see here, I've clicked the little blue cloud that's at the bottom right of my desktop, and you'll find it just slightly to the left of your date and time and language and all those sound buttons. And you can see that my OneDrive is synchronizing. You can see everything that's been doing, and there's lots and lots of images here. So it is taking a wee bit of time. So that's why it's doing that. Now, if I decide that, oh, actually, this is really taking a bit too long, the synchronization, or I don't want it to get in the way of the work I'm doing. And remembering at the moment, I'm on a call and trying to get my device to synchronize as well. So I'm actually asking it to do quite a bit of work. And I can come down here to help and settings at the bottom here, and I can pause the synchronization. So I can say, oh, stop, don't want you to sync just at the moment because I'm busy trying to do something else and you're taking all my power. So I'm going to say I'm going to pause it for 2 hours. And what will happen is the synchronization will pause, and you'll notice that my screen has now no longer got the little spinning symbol that's doing the synchronization. It's just stopped. So there'll be other things that aren't quite able to be synced. And of course, when I'm ready to sync again, I come back to my cloud. I notice that my cloud has got a double quote or double line synchronize pause button, just like we do when we're pausing a video or pausing a movie. Once we click on that, we can see it's paused, and then we can start it going again just by clicking. So Microsoft have made it really, really easy for us to do what we need to do to keep things nice and tight and in control. The other thing I can do here is I can jump straight, if I'm not on my ACE OneDrive already, I could pop straight to my synchronized or my ACE folder from the little cloud at the bottom, because that lives there all the time. Okay, all right, so that's us back on our desktop, synchronizing, knowing that I could go off on my trip tomorrow, and I could very easily just go to right click here, and I could, whoopsie, sorry, I go to here, not synchronizing, so I can't do my, back on, and I can come to here, and I can say, always keep on this device, and then I can keep my video down here where I want it to be. Okay, I'm going to minimize that again. And there you go, that little picture again. And again, that was where I showed you that always keep on this device. You right click on your drive that you want to, or your folder, and always keep on this device, and then free up space when you're done. Okay, I'm just going to escape out of there. I'm not finished, I promise. Just going to pop back to my, whoopsie, there we go, back to my OneDrive again. Righty-ho, whoops, wrong one, try the other OneDrive. How about this one? Here we go. So we're back here again. We can see that everything is all still nicely intact, and we're working in our OneDrive. Right, so we're putting to bed the idea of our device at the moment, and going to carry on with our browser version. And we're going to talk about what else we can do inside our OneDrive. Now, this is my space, remember, but I get to choose and I can share with other people. So I'm going to have a little bit of a collaboration session with my friend Tinkerbell. And Tinkerbell is going to share this document with me. Now, instantly, I've got this option here to share. This is my share button. So I'm going to click on that, and it says to me, oh, who would you like to send the link to share with? and I can say, oh, actually, I'm going to have a little look here. I've got some options here. And those of you that know SharePoint, this will look exactly the same if you're sharing. I could say, well, send the link to anyone. Well, I'm very unlikely to do that. Anyone in my organization, which means they've got the same domain name as me. Well, no, this is my OneDrive. I get to call the shots, okay? People with existing access, well, that would be maybe Tinkerbell if her and I work on documents regularly. But this is the one I'm going to choose. I'm going to choose specific people. And this is what I'm most likely to use in my OneDrive environment. I'm most likely to say I get to choose who's going to look at my document. Now, say for example, I wanted Tinkerbell to have a look at this document, and I didn't want her to make any changes. I just wanted to look at it and just give me a bit of verbal feedback. I could switch off allow editing. And the other thing I could do is I could also block her from downloading it in case I thought she was going to steal my stuff. But again, it's not necessary, so I could turn that off. But if I wanted Tinkerbell to maybe, because it's a Word document, even make some suggestions on here, I could very, very easily allow her editing rights. But Donald Duck, Mickey Mouse, and all the others, Peter Pan, they would not have this access. They wouldn't even know this document existed because they aren't privy to it. I'll apply that, and I'm going to say Tinkerbell is going to be allowed to do this. I'm going to put in here, please review. Yeah, ... Okay. Now, what will happen is Tinkerbell is part of my Microsoft 365 environment. She has an email address the same as me. She will get a notification to say that this document has been shared with her. Okay, so I'm going to go send, and there it goes. Now, it'll tell me that the link's been sent any second. There it is. So a link has been sent to Tinkerbell. She will get this notification in her Outlook. Now I'm hoping with something I prepared earlier. Please work, please work. I'm just going to look in here. This. Right, here we go. No, okay. You're going to have to bear with me with this one because I'm in a trial environment, I don't have a proper server. But what I want to show you here, I've got an email message here. That was going to be the mail message that Tinkerbell would have received or I sent. And if you notice this would be like the mail that Tinker would send to me to say, oh, you have had this document shared with you. So I need you to think a little bit outside the box at the moment. So this would have said, Tinkerbell has shared a document with you, and I could then click on the document and then open it. Okay, so I just need you to imagine that that's what's happened, but that is exactly how that works. Okay, so the other thing that Tinker would then be able to give me would be the link to it. But I'm going to do it the other way around. So I'm going to pretend that Tinker is about to join in a document with me. So I'm just going to go back and see if I can get to the document that we both shared. Just going to see if I can find it on this one. Just give me a second. And see, yeah. Try and find this document. Oh, gosh. Here we go. I'm going to have to quickly send here. All right. Okay. Go here. She can get into this one. Sorry, just give me a second. I'm just trying to do the little extra bit of fanciness here. Let me see if we can both get into this one. No, we can't. Oh, sorry about this, people. It's the joys of working live. Okay, all right. Okay. All right, you might just have to bear with me with this one. But as I'd be working on this document, okay, my video document here, I could expect that I would see Tinkerbell working in here. Now, you can see my name running around here. Now, if Tinkerbell was able to access this document that I shared with her, I would very definitely see here that Tinkerbell had joined me. And Tinkerbell's name would be popping up here at the same time as I'm working. And this is that great way of being able to do that sharing. It's fantastic. So her and I could work on this document together. I could add another paragraph or two in here with the magic of Microsoft. Very easily pop another paragraph in here, add some more sample text. And this document would then be worked on. And again, we're both working together. Now, this actually shows me that we are both able to, normally my name would not pop up here, but it is shared with others. And so therefore, I can normally see where the person has been working in here. Now, the other thing I can do in here while I'm here, I could also pass a comment. Now, I could make a comment to Tinkerbell. and say, and she can to me, Tinkerbell, and say, Andrea, Tinkerbell, what do you think? Okay, I can say, what do you think that this is about? Okay, so I can put a little note in here. I can say, what do you think? So on and so forth. And then that would actually send a message. Okay, send her a task. We can collaborate on this in and out of the document, whether we're both in here together or whether we access it separately. Okay, so what you would see is Tinkerbell comes up here with her little icon. She'd be a TB icon, and as she's working, we would see her name Tinker in here. Okay, so it's a fantastic way of sharing with others. All right, I'm going to close that, and because I sent that message to Tinkerbell and said, what do you think? Tinker has actually received a message from me inside her chat saying, Andrea has asked you what you think about this document. So it's absolutely wonderful what we can do in this space. Okay, now, what about if we want to do something else with our documents here? So back to OneDrive here. As I said, these are your documents. This is where you would force the synchronization. So if you think that things aren't connected and you want to force your synchronization, you would do it here. And it says, okay, we will do that. I'm doing it behind the scenes. Absolutely, don't worry, it'll be fine. The other thing we can do in here is we can manage our documents as well. We can open them from here. And of course, we can open them in the browser where we are, or we can open them in the full-blown application of Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, any of those as well. Again, we can do our sharing from here. We can manage our access from here. And again, this is where we can see. Now, I can see here, and you can be able to tell in a second, that I have shared it with somebody. And that somebody is Tinkerbell. All right. So at any point here, I can say, oh, actually, I'm going to revoke Tinkerbell's access. And there it goes. Remove Tinkerbell's access, just like that. She can no longer get anywhere near my document, which is great. I've given it to her for a season of time just to look at it. And when she doesn't need to see it anymore, I can revoke the access, which is great. Lots of other things we can do here. You're in full control. This is yours. You can delete, you can move, you can copy, rename. You can even look at versions. So what version of this document have you been working on? Now, Microsoft is very clever in that when we work on documents inside Word, Excel, inside OneDrive and SharePoint, we can see when changes have been made. And as you can see here, this is American time, but oh no, it's actually not, it's New Zealand time. So this is from a wee while ago, but you can see here all the minutes I've been working in this little call with you. You can see I've been working on this document, and every significant change, including the ones that Tinkerbell would have made had she been able to access, because my email wasn't working, then she would also be registered here as having been modified. And I think what you're going to ask me is, well, who gets to decide who's stay? Microsoft's very clever. If a significant change has been made, say by Tinkerbell, and then that will be saved as a version. And then even if it's a split second after I make another significant change, we both get an entry as a version item. So Microsoft will do that for us. And then it becomes the person who owns the document gets the last say. So for example, if I wanted to revert back to a previous version, then I can just restore. And it means anything that I can, anything that I want to say, no, I don't want those changes, I can revert it back. It won't allow me here, this error message is saying you have the document open, and that's why it won't let me do it. So if I was to close, and then try to do a version restore, and then it will do it quite happily. And there it goes, my version 4 has now been upgraded to a version 6, 4 is still there, and 5 is still there. Okay. So essentially here we have it. So we've got this fabulous working space here that we can work on. It's yours to do what you like, how you like. Treat it a lot like your File Explorer. Treat it like your File Explorer, but remember it's in your browser space, and you can work on it, at your leisure. The other thing that I wanted to show you is if you're a Teams worker, and this is again for those of you that use Teams, I just want to show you here. Inside of Teams, I'm going to pop into the Teams environment really, really quickly. Imagine you are a Teams user. if you are in Teams and say you want to share a document from your OneDrive with your team, or you want to share one during a chat, I'm going to show you both ways of doing that. From Teams, I'm going to say here, I'm going to share it to the training channel. I'm going to go to Files up here, on Files, and I'm going to Upload, and I'm going to upload files, and I will upload them here from my OneDrive. I'm going to find it in here again. Where's it hiding from me? Come back, come back, come back. Where's my OneDrive? Eek, eek, eek. Sorry, it's disappeared on me. Here it is, OneDrive Ace. And inside of here, here's my files that I could share from here. And I'm going to upload the employee, oh no, we'll go the ice cream tracking. There we go. Nothing like some ice cream tracking on a Monday morning. Here we go. Here we are. It's uploaded here, and now I've uploaded it. Now, something really, really important to remember, once I upload it, it no longer lives in my OneDrive. I'm going to say that again. Once I upload it to Teams, I have given it away. Okay, very important. Now, why would I want to give it away? This is what you would do, as I said, when you've been working on a draft and you want to then finally submit it for a wider audience. The one that's in your OneDrive is a copy of the one you've just uploaded. So be really, really aware that if you continue to work on the one in OneDrive, it is not connected to either the SharePoint, if you load it to a SharePoint folder, or you load it to a Teams folder. Okay, so very, very important. Which comes down to yet another comment that I'll make to you is that if you're going to be using your OneDrive as a draft, I guess, repository, if you're going to use it as a draft repository, make sure you have a procedure or a protocol that you follow that says, once I've uploaded it, maybe you move it to archive, or maybe you delete it. And deleting is an okay thing because maybe SharePoint looks after it, and 365 looks after it, and Teams looks after it. So you can delete it. If you're really a bit nervous about that, archive it. So it will not still be connected. You need to continue working on it from here. And because we've uploaded it to Teams, remember that every Teams member, the 5 people that belong to this team, are privy to this document and will be for the duration of it living in the Teams environment. Okay, very, very important. Okay, all right, so that's uploading to Teams. Now, what about if we're in the middle of a chat? What about a chat? So Tinkerbell and I are having a chat here, and I want to say to Tinkerbell, oh, Tinkerbell, I just want you to have this file. I'm going to click on Files here, and from here, I'm going to be allowed to share immediately with Tinkerbell. So I could upload from my computer or from OneDrive. Here it goes here, okay? And I can say, what do I want to share with Tinkerbell? I can do my employee sales. There we are. And I'm going to share that. All right. There's my employee sales sharing with Tinkerbell. And here it is. And you'll see here now, there's a message to say that it was shared. If I look in the files now, I reload it. There it is, my employee sales. And it is shared with Tinkerbell in the chat. It tells me here that it's shared, and so on and so forth. Now, if we go back to all our chats, you'll see in here also tells me that we've shared a file, all right, and it's easy for us to access it either from the chat or it permanently lives here as well. Now, another thing about chats and OneDrive as well is there any recordings that we have of meetings. So if Tinkerbell and I were to have an instant meeting from our chat, then, and we record it, as one I prepared earlier, of course, Tinkerbell and I had a chat previously, and the recording is also stored in your OneDrive. Okay, whoever instigates the chat with the meeting and the recording, that's in their OneDrive. And I'll quickly pop you back. You'll see here there's a recording, and back up here in my, whoopsie, my files, under recordings, fingers crossed that it's arrived, and there it is. That's the recording of the chat that Tinkerbell and I had previously today. So it's a fantastic space, a fantastic space. All right, so I think we're just about the point now where we're going to have some questions, but I just wanted just to recap and say to you about how this really all works. I'll put back to my OneDrive, just to go back to my main documents. Oopsie, here we are, back to my main documents in OneDrive. You've got lots of options. You can access it from your File Explorer here after synchronizing. You can access it from your Microsoft Office Home here by using the little cloud. You can also access it, remember, from this little wee blue cloud at the bottom right of your taskbar once it's synchronized. And also you can access it from within Teams as well. So you have your files area here, yep, and here, that you can access your OneDrive from here very, very easily. So it's your space and your terms, your everything. It's all about you. And you decide, you call the shots. And it's, yeah, all about how and where and what you want to work. Yeah, so tip, do we have any questions? Is there anything else I can explain to anybody? I'll leave the screens up in case there's a little bit of a demo that's required.
Yeah, that was so good. Thank you for that. We did have a few questions. So the first one is, why and how is OneDrive better than Dropbox? And I guess I would add maybe the Google Drive suite. I assume that's a question you get a lot, but
yeah, definitely. OneDrive is Microsoft, and so it's like, well, actually, are you an Apple or are you an Android? You know, it's just sort of a conversation like this. But to be fair, honestly, Dropbox has been around a long time, and if I was to say anything, this is a great way. If people know Dropbox, you can use OneDrive really, really easily. The beauty of OneDrive is that OneDrive dovetails beautifully with everything Microsoft, and that's the lovely thing about it. However, having said that, to be fair, I'm just going to give you a little wee tip here. If you're a Teams worker here, and you're in your team, of course, you can add a link to Dropbox. Okay, you can add what we call cloud storage here. So it's a little bit of an extra tip for you. I think Dropbox is in here, or maybe it's not. Google Drive is definitely.
It is at the top.
Yeah. So Dropbox will be. Oh, there it is. Sorry, I was overlooking it. But you're right. So it is there as an option that you can add as an extra add-on repository. But of course, OneDrive goes with Teams, so and Microsoft, and so that's really what it is. But they haven't precluded the fact that you can still access your Dropbox. And hey, you get so much free for OneDrive as well. So and the fact that it all links nicely with it's a Microsoft thing. Yeah.
So I guess like if you're using like Excel a lot and Word a lot, you'd recommend definitely, like if those are your key tools, you definitely pivot towards OneDrive just because you get all the extra syncing features and
Definitely. And I'll just show you here. Now, if I was to just go and create my whole I can create a new document from here, a new document right here. I can start a new Word document immediately from my OneDrive, and it will just be there. I'm just going to quickly do my magic in here. And then it saves it immediately for me. So there's no saving involved. And I can call it whatever I like, my video. And it's so amazing, really, really good. I can see my versions from here and just automatically does it. And from now on, I don't even have to save ever again. I just close my document and it'll be here any second, probably the bottom when it refreshes. But yeah, it just turns up on here. Yeah.
And I think to get the autosave feature, you do need OneDrive, don't you?
You do need the browser. Yeah, the autosave happens because you're synchronizing between the two. It's sort of part of the synchronization.
Yeah.
You see that, you can switch it off, and you wouldn't want to do that often. But if you can see the screen I'm on now, I've just got a normal Excel. This is from my desktop. Up here we have the autosave. If I switch it off, it means it won't synchronize. Okay, so you can temporarily take it offline, but why wouldn't you? There's times when you probably need to, but generally speaking, it's great to have that synchronization. Because at any stage, you can still revert to another version if you need to.
Yeah, it's definitely saved my life a few times. The autosave. Cool. And I guess like this might be different because it might be like the Apple Android or question. But what about Google Suite, Google Drive?
Oh, Google Drive. Yeah, same thing, I would say. Again, you can have a connection to it by using Teams or, and again, it will sit quite nicely inside the Teams space here. You could add it as cloud storage if you wanted to, and here's your Google Drive down the bottom here. So you can still have access to it, and maybe over time you'd prefer to actually transfer everything over, which is very easy to do as well. So, upload from somewhere. So, right.
Cool. And then, and I guess I'll add personally that like, because I think I'm very used to how you manage files on like Windows, on like Windows Explorer, like just the regular old Windows Explorer. It's a lot more intuitive coming to OneDrive because it's the exact same thing.
Exactly.
Whereas
it really is a replica, isn't it? Such a replica.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Cool. That's great. We had another question, which was, will the documents have like version control printed on them? So like, which versions you're working on? Well, I guess you could.
Sure. So when you're inside the document, for example, inside of here, I can easily see which version I'm in just by popping into here and see my version history. So that's one thing I can just sort of see. The other thing is that you can also, let's close this, inside of you can change the way that the view is here. Just trying to see here, this probably isn't the best way to do this one here. But you can change your view. If you go into your settings, and you've got the opportunity, I can't do it here, but you can have the view changed. So you can actually see a column here if you wanted to, of what version you're on, if you wanted to add that to your columns. So that would take a little bit of, tweaking in your actual display, but you could see what version these ones are, just like you can in SharePoint. So you can have a column that says what version number you're working on.
Yeah, cool, nice. Yeah, so I guess that's all the questions we had. I'll double check social, but do you have anything else to add on anything at all?
Just a couple of things here, just that's come through now. You can see here the shared on the right hand side. So that shows it shared versus private, which is really, really important. A couple of things that you might like to even explore for yourself. Those of you that are a little bit more advanced down the track, I'll just sort of pop up this one. You've got things like automation. So, you can do all sorts of things if you want to learn things like what we call power apps. So you can have a lot more control over your OneDrive if you put some automation in there. This is one example that's popped up anyway, and the request sign off. So as an example here, that it runs a little, I'll show you how it works. Imagine if I wanted, it's in my OneDrive, I want Tinkerbell to do the sign off. Unfortunately, it won't go through because of my lack of internet, my email server, but I'll show you what happens. If I wanted to say, for example, before I post something, get it signed off in private, I could do this. And all it does is runs a little workflow. So there's lots of these cool little extra features that run out of what we call Power Automate. It utilizes my OneDrive, utilizes the approvals process, which is a little built-in workflow, notifies people via their own Microsoft 365 account, and it uses the information from other users as well. Okay, and so I can start that, and it will go away and it will send away a request for sign off. Now, the other thing it will do while it's doing that will also bring me up with a column that says sign off status. So here we go. I'll send it to Tinkerbell. Here we go. There we are. Tinkerbell, my HR manager. I'm going to put in here, please approve. But these are things a lot of people don't know. Once you've mastered a lot of these things, it's really great, and start the workflow. And there it goes. Okay, and it will run away, and the workflow will run. And if I zoom this down a wee bit, sorry, it's not showing on here. It will work, and it will have a status. I haven't set the column here to show the status, but you'll see the same thing, just as a bit of a heads up inside of SharePoint and your Teams environment, and the OneDrive will do that as well. But it's about setting up your columns for that to work. Yeah, so it's a great thing, and as soon as it's signed off, then it will come back with the sign off status. So it's just amazing, really, really cool stuff. Very, very cool.
Yeah. And I guess I have a question. I guess what's for someone who's thinking about moving to Microsoft Suite, what's a good example of someone who should be moving or who could consider moving to OneDrive and Teams?
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah, it's for everyone. And I've even found just recently, I've got to do a bit more research on this, that even Teams has a personal, you can get a personal Teams now, just like we used to have personal Skype. So, it's going to become like hopefully people's go-to. So it's not, about Zoom, but Zoom's wonderful. But Teams also has, equally as much capability. But, anybody, small people, and more so, I guess, these days where we've got so much remote access. But a lot of us are, one day we could be home and the next day we could be asked to come to the office, and vice versa. Or we could be, like in our case, we have a north to south business group. So we've got Aucklanders all the way down to Christchurch. So when we connect, we want to connect as much as possible, like we're really there. And of course, the connectivity is so good, and the collaboration, this whole idea of being able to collaborate, like I tried to show with Tinkerbell, but she wasn't able to connect, where you can see who's working with you, and you can use Teams to have meetings and conversations, and if you didn't get to the meeting, you can go back later and review it. Like if there was a third person in our chat with Tinkerbell and I, say Peter Pan was invited, but he didn't get to the meeting that we had, he can pop on later and see what we chatted about, because he can rerun the meeting recording. So just amazing. You can make comments about documents and they turn up inside your OneDrive or Teams, or it's just amazing, incredible stuff. It's just a one-stop shop.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. at my former company, we used Teams and everything like throughout all the lockdowns and everything, and it's great. Especially when literally you're working in the office one day and the next day you're all at home. So definitely recommend that kind of tool.
So good, so good. My hardest problem I have these days of working is carrying my cell phone around for two-factor authentication. Everything else is so easy. You just go anywhere. I've got so many devices they have logged on that I can be anywhere. I can run between rooms. I'm in a training room at the moment. I'm logged in because I'm using 365, and it's just so easy. Don't have to be my space, my place. I can access my space at my pace. So really, really cool. Awesome.
Amazing. Cool. So yeah, I guess we've got 4 minutes. So any closing remarks from you before we go?
Yeah, so just if you've if you want any more information, we have an info line. So just message info@ace with the questions you've got. And obviously we do training, we do support, we do all that sort of thing with Microsoft Teams. And even if you want to chat, 365, if you want to chat with one of our team members about, maybe you're thinking about moving to 365, or you've got it and you're not really using it to the best of its capacity, or you think you could be getting more out of it, or you're just stumbling across little bits and pieces because you've tried to do the things that you know and you're sure there's more, let us have a conversation with you and see what we can do to help. And just contact us info@ace.co.nz, and our lovely people will be chatting back to you on an instant chat, and then we can arrange a catch up. So yeah, great. Loved having you. Didn't see any of your faces, but it was great having you here today, being with you today. So have a great week, everybody.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much. And give him a ring, or if you have any questions, give us a ring. And definitely we'll see you all tomorrow. And if you are using Microsoft, or you're thinking Microsoft Suite, I definitely highly recommend moving into these collaboration tools, especially as your team grows and I guess everyone becomes more digital, right? So have a great week, everyone. And thanks again, Andrea. That was so good. That was so informative. And
awesome.
Okay, talk to you all later.
Thanks, everyone.